All right, here we are live on a Saturday morning. Saturday morning, right? Everything's already failing. We're just starting, and the microphones are falling. But thanks for joining in. And I just realized I'm muted, and now I'm live for sure. Now we're good to go. Yeah, welcome in. The IDP show is what we're going to call this. It's not necessarily a trade show. It's not necessarily a start sit show. Um, it is basically a time frame for y'all to jump in here and throw questions in. If you got dynasty questions, if you've got redraft questions, we'll get them all answered for you. So, as a reminder, the IDPshow.com. Go jump on the website, and we've got all kinds of stuff there for you. If you're unfamiliar, if you're new to the program, weekly projections. Mike Wohlert throws a lot of great weekly articles, weekly projections out there, which in turn is kind of what helps run the IDP Start Sit tool. So if you've got a question and I'm not able to get to it today, if it's something that comes up tomorrow, if there's an injury that pops up today, and you want to go and look tomorrow, I know there's a question here in a little bit about the Chicago linebackers. Green dot situation. Who's going to man the green dot? Who's going to be playing? Because I think everybody is carrying an injury tag into tomorrow. I think Noah Sewell is injured. I think we have Tremaine and TJ Edwards are both banged up right now. So it might be a Hippolyte week. But go throw it in the start sit tool. Check out the articles. There's waiver wire ads that we've got. We have the IDP dynasty rankings from Adam, which are the best dynasty rankings, bar none. And then there's also the IDP trade calculator. That's not something that we talk about a lot, but it's something that you can actually go and use, and it helps you kind of not necessarily make the decision for you, because every league is different. Some leagues are deeper, some leagues are big play, some leagues are big three scoring, but it kind of helps you have one more tool in your belt to kind of help you make those decisions. So let's get to some of these comments real quick, because that's what this is for. If you're able to put a comment in ahead of time, I'm very thankful for that. But this is for live as well. No audio. Hey, we got that fixed. When the mic fell, I think I grabbed the mute button over here. But we're good to go. Holy discs, yes. I've got a few. Sorry about that. There we go. We got that fixed. The boys of summer. I love that. I need to pick up a young defensive end. So I'm assuming this is going to be a dynasty league. Donovan Ezeraku or Nick Scorton? Wow, that's a fantastic question. I would probably lean Donovan just because he's had a really great season. I know Nick Scorton has played pretty well also there for Carolina. That's a really close one for me. But, just like Mike Wohlert loves Donovan, and I honestly am kind of a Nick Scorton fan, because there's a couple of leagues where he's a linebacker, so you can kind of have that cheat code at least for the first year. Maybe he's going to carry a dual designation into other platforms for next season. But great question. Probably lean a little bit Donovan, but skew a little bit that way just because year one has looked pretty awesome for them, even though Nick Scorton is coming on here as of recently. Third eye, hey man, redraft. Any concerns about Barrett Carter? Burke scored more tackles last week. Carter still got green dot, but can Oren Burks take over the Carter role? I think he absolutely can. I think we've seen, I think it was Barrett Carter last week. Maybe it was Demetrius Knight. It was definitely Barrett Carter that got thrown 10 yards by Darnell Washington. So I think that's a pretty hot topic here over the next coming weeks. That Oren Burks is all of a sudden going to get some more PT. Shout out Addy on that one. Adam was all over the Super Bowl winning Oren Burks. I think that's right. I think he was an Eagle last year, and it's been pretty abysmal there between Carter and Demetrius Knight. So yeah, I am very concerned if you're a Carter owner. I don't think the future is going to look great. I mean, maybe that kid pans out, but for right now, I think you're on red alert. Sit one of Cashman, Landman, Edge, Cooper, and Swessinger. Wow. Um, as gross as it sounds right now, maybe Edge Cooper, because Quay's been playing really good. There is some weirdness right now. I think Quay's carrying a little bit of an injury tag. Isaiah McDuffie is playing well also, but it's just hard to sit Cashman, Swessinger, and Landman right now. So I'm not necessarily skewing to who's the better player or who is getting the playing time as much as I am. Just those other two guys are just going to be hard to get out of your lineup. So great question. What's your take on Panthers edge rushers, Skortson and Dynasty? I love him. I think he can be acquired very cheaply right now. I mean, I think you could potentially move on a 4th or a 5th rounder here in the next couple of years for Skorton. And I think him and even Uman Mielen are great grabs, just because I think you can look up in a minimal amount of time and they're going to carry the same value as like a Jalen Walker or potentially a James Pierce might have. You've got two teams, NFC South. Neither of those teams are great. Both of these rookies are going to get a lot of playing time because DJ Wanham's not really panning out down there in Carolina. And very similar to Atlanta, there's nobody else really there to get the playing time. So great question. I love Nick Skorton. I think he could be an edge 2, edge 3 for us here for the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, definitely a guy that's on the radar. I traded Speed and Tyrod. I'm assuming Tyrod Taylor for a 4th and Cedric Gray back in July. It's paid off well. Yeah, absolutely. Speed has been a weird one. I'm even kind of bummed from a Christian Harris perspective. I've carried Harris in a lot of spots, and he just hasn't gotten the playing time that he has in the last couple of years. Tyrod, whatever. I don't really know what type of league this is. For a 4th and Cedric Gray, it's a way you make profit in IDP. If this is super flex, maybe Tyrod's got a little bit of appeal this week because I'm kind of an Adonai Mitchell guy a little bit. I kind of want to see what's going to happen with him. Can he get open? Does he have any hands at all? Because if so, I think Tyrod is more accurate than Justin Fields. It's going to be interesting to see what this week looks like with him. Thanks, Bobby. You are more than welcome. Let's get to some of these questions that were sent in ahead of time. So this is from Ashoko. Who is next year's Jordan Brooks, Brian Burns, and Tyke Smith? So Jordan Brooks, kind of like the Zach Bond, essentially from 2024. Next year's Jordan Brooks, man, you don't really know that because, we didn't really see Landman coming again this year. Landman signed just a 1-year deal with the Rams and has been an LB1. He's been fantastic with them. So I think this offseason, what you need to be looking for is in free agency where some of these veteran Jordan Brooks is kind of a veteran. I mean, he's been in the league for 5 or so years now, where some of these guys go and sign like a 1-year deal, it's kind of like Pat Queen has kind of had that appeal over the last couple years where he's been pretty solid. Zach Bond obviously was another name. Blake Cashman just continues to carry value year in and year out. If I had to put it on who could next year's Jordan Brooks be, somebody who has very little value right now, but who could be great next year. Man, could it be like Junior Colston? Maybe. I know that's a really deep cut, and he has not played at all this year because I know he went to season-ending IR. But you go from just zero to hero in a minimal amount of time, and somebody who could be acquired for pennies right now. And Deion Henley's playing pretty terribly. I don't think Denzel Perryman or Troy Dyer are going to have a lot of life left. And you've got we talked about it on last week's flagship that Henley was the prior regime. That was the old Rams defensive coordinator who is the coach there for the Chargers. His name's failing me right now. But that was his selection before they got him out. So before Colston went to IR, it was kind of looking like it was going to be Henley and Colston. So yeah, again, maybe Colston. I don't know. That's a deep cut. That's a hard one. Brian Burns. Man, maybe like a Jared Verse finally hits next year. And I know we have a lot of like the value for Verse in Dynasty is really, really high right now. But the production has not been there. You know, shout out Addy, high pressures, low sacks. Man, that has been Jared Verse so far this year, and we need to see the production a little bit. So that's what I'm going to call. I'm going to call Jared Verse again for next year's Brian Burns, and then Tyke Smith. What a call again from Addy. Just a rookie safety that's come in and just has taken over the league. As far as rookie safeties are concerned, that's going to come in and be a Tyke Smith next year, I don't know, because the amount of DBs that come in and year out, as far as rookies are concerned, that produce like Tyke or Uman Wari, or even like Brian Branch, Malachi Smith, that doesn't happen year in and year out. So I don't know. We're going to have to put a pin in that for Tyke Smith. That's kind of not something at this point in the season that we're really going to know. I wanted to get to this one before we get back to the live comments. Mike P., who is wearing the dot in Chicago this week? I think it's going to be Hippolyte. If for some reason you see TJ Edwards, you see Tremaine, you see somebody actually practicing this weekend and looks like they're going to be cleared to play, put a pin in that. Go follow Wohlert right now on Twitter if you don't. Mike Wohlert. He's going to be all over this, and he's going to let you know who the dot will be in Chicago prior to the game tomorrow. But if it's not those three, if everybody's hurt, Ruben Hippolyte is probably going to be the guy that is going to, get the playing time. How much can we trust him right now? How much are we willing to roll him out in, the weeks where it's really starting to count? I don't know. It's going to be that's a losing battle sometimes in week 12 when you're trusting a guy like Ruben Hippolyte. But hey, if you've got the stones to do it, by all means, let her rip. Redraft, start Uman Wari or CJ Gardner-Johnson this week. Man, that's a fantastic question. Do we trust it week in and week out with CJ Gardner-Johnson? I think I'm probably going to go Uman Wari. As much as I would like to double down on CD Deuce, shout out to Addy again for just a fantastic call on, what if CJ Gardner-Johnson gets the playing time? What if all of a sudden he looks like a starter again and can produce for us in IDP? And, it's kind of been, there's been the guys this year that have played really well in terms of, defensive backs. It's always hard to kind of trust some of these guys like CJ Gardner-Johnson that kind of bounce around midseason and then all of a sudden produce for us. So I'm gonna skew Uman Wari, but you could go a whole lot worse than going CJ Gardner-Johnson this week. Let's pull real quick some of these matchups. So Uman Wari has the Titans this week. I don't love that from a production perspective because the Titans offense is just terrible, but I do love it from a big play potential for Uman Wari because, again, Uman Wari could get to Cam Ward. He could throw a pick. You could sack him. I think that's going to be my call. I think I'm going to stick with Uman Wari and just trust what we've seen so far this season as opposed to what we've just seen recently with CD Deuce. We holding Jaden Hicks in Dynasty. Probably not at this point. Kind of highly drafted, had a little bit of appeal coming into the league, but just really hasn't lived up to kind of the production and the hype that we kind of had for him early on in his career. It's an interesting question because he was definitely a guy that I've liked coming into the league and a guy that I thought was going to get more playing time as some of those defensive backs rolled out of Kansas City. The playing time right now is pretty abysmal. Prior to their bye, he played 6% of the snaps in week 9. The bye was in week 10, and then only played 21% of the snaps week 11. So if it's a deep league and you feel like holding on to him, I'm fine with it because, he's still young. He's 23 years old. He's got draft capital behind him, but the Chiefs had the opportunity to play him more this year, and it's just something's not clicking or the production's not quite there. So great question. Definitely a name to put a pin in, but nobody I'm trusting right now or holding on to over somebody that I could grab and start in really, really pivotal weeks here coming up. Great question. I love that one. I agree. I sat Swish last week. Never again. LOL. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Shout out to anybody too that took the Schlesinger line on the Rookie of the Year, because you're gonna make a little money here pretty quickly. I have a feeling. Let's get back to a couple of these questions that were put in here prior from Seth. This is a trade question. More than welcome to put these trades in here if you want to. Just did this trade in a 10 by 10 dynasty big three scoring 22 teamer. Good Lord. Good for you. I don't have the mental brain length to handle a league like that. Bandwidth maybe was the word that I was looking for. I'm not too many cups of coffee deep today, so bear with me. Sent Barrett Carter and a 26th fourth, received Jalen Phillips and a 26th fifth. I'm calling the authorities now. You need to be locked up for being able to pull a trade like that off. I'm not kidding. They're on their way now. No, great trade. That's what you do in IDP. Barrett Carter, not going to have a long life, I don't think, in the NFL. And a 26th fourth, whatever. And you go get you a good edge that's playing good right now for a 26th fifth. Phillips and a 26th fifth. I will say, I don't mind trading Jalen Phillips right now if you want to, but if you're going to trade Jalen Phillips, you need more than a fourth and Barrett Carter for it. You need a third. You need maybe a younger defensive tackle, a Dallas Turner. Could you get like I don't know that I'm really, maybe like a Scorton and a third, maybe. Maybe see if you could get a Pierce or Jalen Walker in a third with it. Jalen Phillips has got the appeal right now. For 2025, he is the player that you're going to want. But you could definitely trade him and go make a little profit off of him too. But this is a great trade. I love that, especially going into these crucial weeks where Jalen Phillips' playing time is great, and you probably need to start him in a lot of your matchups. I love a trade like that. Lost Buckner to IL. I think that means IR, and added Hunter. My two DL are Anderson and Hunter, both from the same team, and they are killing it each week. Good coverage, also helping their pass rush. Yeah, I don't always recommend, I don't think neither would Addy or Josh in these situations, to start both defensive ends on a team. I'm not starting a Scorton and a Monmielen. I don't know that I'm starting like Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. But there are certain teams where this is going to play. There are certain teams where you can start Byron Young and Jared Verse. You can start, I'm trying to think of other teams that are around the league right now. Like you can probably start Jalen Walker and James Pierce. It's just on my mind. It's kind of a team that we've talked about. I don't recommend it a lot. But yeah, I mean, if you have Anderson or Hunter on a team with not the other teammate, let's just say you have Anderson alone, you have Hunter alone, you're never sitting those guys. You have Anderson, you've got Jared Verse, and you've got Karlaftis, and those are your three defensive linemen. You're not sitting Will Anderson. You're not going to sit Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter's heating up. Will Anderson has been playing really, really good. Kind of an under the radar player so far for this season. So yeah, it sucks. Maybe Buckner comes back at some point this season, because I know a lot of defensive tackle leagues are really relying on him, because defensive tackle has been pretty tough so far this year as far as week in and week out production. But yeah, congrats on having Will Anderson and Hunter. That's been fun for you, I'm sure. Can Cody Simon take over the green dot role in Arizona from Mac Wilson IR this season? Absolutely. I think that you're looking and seeing that Arizona probably not making the playoffs by and large. I think that they're pretty, Kyler is banged up or IR or week to week or day to day, whatever you want to call him. I think that's pretty much like he's going to be playing for a different team, I would say, in 2026. So I think the Arizona Cardinals know the life that they're living. Mac Wilson is going to IR for the season, which is what we needed to happen. Cody Simon, young linebacker. I can't remember. Did he play? Oklahoma was Danny Stutzman. I can't remember where Cody Simon played college ball. But absolutely, Cody Simon can take over, and I think he's played pretty well. He's been pretty impressive. I don't know that he's a guy that I want to start and trust at this point in the season, because, again, we've got to stack some wins here. We've got to get in the playoffs. We've got to make the right start-sit calls here down the stretch. Week 12 is, pivotal week. We've got 3 more weeks of ball before the playoffs start. So Can he take over the green dot? Absolutely. Am I trusting him? Probably only in like deeper leagues. I punted on LB. This from Skywalker here. Punted on LB early in my IDP with offense league. Ended up with Jack Campbell, Devin White, and Landman in greater rounds. All have been producing great. Yeah, that's just a shout out to the IDP show group. You know, Jake, Jeff, Jace, Wohlert, Boo Bam, Addy, Josh, myself. You know, Kyle B's got some great articles out from time to time. We've got just a great group of characters. I hate even going through and trying to mention everybody because I know I'm going to forget quite a few. Johnny the Greek, just the defensive back articles that are in and week out as far as helping you out. If you're concerned with cornerbacks or safeties, that can be a godsend from time to time when you're just kind of up against it. You've got bye weeks and everything. But no, that's just a shout out to guys that, you know, theidpshow.com, just a great group of guys that's going to get you set for your lineups. You know, Jack Campbell playing great ball this year, living up to what we wanted him to. Devin White, another name that we probably threw out early on in the offseason of like, hey, pay attention. He's getting some run in training camp. Just a guy you probably want to go ahead and stash just in case. You know, he's kind of a Jordan Brooks, where it's like, man, what if all of a sudden Devin White gets some run? And it's been fantastic for you this year. Yeah, and Landman. Landman's a touchy name for me. I traded Josh Landman in the offseason, and I really regret that now. That was a horrible, horrible decision. So shout out Josh, love you. I know you're probably watching because just making sure, you know, nothing goes awry here. But yeah, punt it on LB. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it plays out. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's been fantastic for you this year. So congrats, Skywalker. Jalen Reed had a great game, high tackle volume. Can he start even after, I'm assuming that's Petre there returns. Let's look real quick and see what the, not a name that I have really pulled here lately to see what's actually going on with that playing time. Might be somebody that I have to circle back around on because I'm not 100% sure what the playing time has been for him. I don't know. I don't know that I'm trusting him quite yet. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put a pin in that. Let me circle back to that one once we run through some of these other ones. Jalen Phillips or Latu this week. Man, that's a good one. That's a really good question. This is one where I need a little bit of help from somebody else. I need a little co-host in here helping me out. I think both of those are fine plays. They've been both kind of heating up as of late. So Latu is going to get to play against Kansas City this week. And then the Eagles have the Cowboys. Man. Let's go Latu. I think that Latu's playing really good. I think that Jalen Phillips are going to have a little program for slowing Jalen Phillips down this week. He's been hot enough here lately that he's going to get some chips. And I don't think anybody's been playing really exceptionally across from Jalen Phillips. I know there's been kind of the Jalix Hunt experiment and you know, Jahad Campbell's kind of getting some play a little bit, but I like Latu this week with Kansas City. I know Mahomes can be a little bit slippery, but I think that's going to be a game that a lot of people are going to tune into. So I skew Latu a little bit. If you feel the need to throw Phillips in there, I don't hate that either, but let's give Latu just a little bit of a bump there. Dynasty Edge 1, Hutchinson or Will Anderson? I'm going to have to take a drink of coffee on that one. Man, probably still Hutchinson. I love Will Anderson. I do think that Will Anderson is, I don't know, he's fantastic. That's a toss up. Hutchinson just kind of seems like that motory Max Crosby. You know, I made a trade with Macri this offseason, and there were some other pieces involved. I really regret the trade, to be honest with you, because I traded BTJ for Romo Dunze, and I got BTJ, and that has not panned out. So that portion of the trade, I've been a little bit bummed about. But I traded Hutchinson, and the Max Crosby was in there as well. There were some picks and some other players, so I don't exactly remember it. But by and large, I hate giving up Hutch. Still young, get into the IDP show.com. Go to the dynasty ranks right now. Let's just go ahead and pull them up while we're live and see where Addie's at on some of these characters. Addie puts a fresh coat of paint on the dynasty ranks pretty regularly. So right now, wow. Oh, Will Anderson Jr. has got the edge. He's got Will Anderson as the edge 1, Myles Garrett as the edge 2 in Dynasty, and then Aiden Hutchinson right now as the edge 3. Something else that I really love in the Dynasty ranks, Adam also has the age, which is a big thing when it comes to Dynasty edge rushers and linebackers. Aiden Hutchinson right now, 25.2. Will Anderson, 24.2. Maybe that's why you give Will Anderson an edge if you want to. He's a little bit younger, but I just love the playing time that Hutchinson's getting. If you've got both of them, congrats to you. If you've got one of them, you're living a pretty fun life. But I'll skew Hutchinson just a little bit. Short, long term, okay, Simon, Cornelius, McDuffie. I go Simon. I think that you're going to see a little bit more playing time out of him this week, especially with Mack Wilson looking like he's a little bit banged up. Let's look and see last week at the playing time that Cody Simon got. 100% of the playing time over the last 2 weeks. That's the answer for me. And yeah, I think you were talking Sherilis here, which is fine. McDuffie and Sherilis are just two names that I'm not going to trust during week 12. We've got 2 weeks of 100% snaps out of Cody Simon. That's what you trust sometimes. Don't get cute early on in the season. Don't get cute later. Summer is great. Man, summer is great. As I'm sitting here looking out the door and it's, I don't know, a cool 40, 50 degrees outside, I do miss summer. I got Micah and TJ as LBs. Interesting. So must be sleeper potentially. Unfortunately, in my league, I'm contemplating starting Curtis Robinson or Cody Simon over both this week to aim for a possible 10 tackle bonus luck versus sack upside. What's your take? So Micah Parsons, I'm assuming, and TJ Watt as linebackers. I know TJ Watt's been a little bit of a bummer this year. So that must be the unfortunate side of what you're talking about. Okay. I will say this week, TJ Watt is playing the Bears. You can get to who's the quarterback for the Bears. That would be fantastic to know off the top of my head. Caleb Williams. Thank you for jostling that in my brain a little bit. You can get to Caleb Williams. So as much as TJ Watt has not been great as of late, man, what if all of a sudden he puts up 40 points for you this week? You're going to feel like a little bit of a dum-dum. And then absolutely, Micah Parsons gets to play with against J.J. McCarthy this week. Again, Cody Simon, 100% of the snaps, potential 10 tackle bonus luck versus sack upside. I get that. Man, I kind of like the setup this week for Micah and TJ. I think that's a little bit of a dangerous setup. You know, your opponent's going to look in there and see Micah and TJ Watt and think, okay, maybe I could get them this week because, you know, Micah and TJ Watt haven't done a whole lot as of late. Micah's been pretty good, but TJ Watt's been kind of quiet. Man, you've got pretty primo setups right now. J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams are going to get sacked quite a bit this week. So I'm not getting cute. I'm still starting my studs in week 12. But put a pin in both those guys. Curtis Robinson, Cody Simon. You might need them here over the next couple weeks. That's a fantastic question. Third eye. Should I drop Witherspoon? Might not produce good tackles like last year since his role has switched to outside cornerback from the Umanwari role he played last year. My cornerback is Cooper DeJean. So let's look and see at the Witherspoon snaps here lately. Yeah, you're right. I mean, here's my only thing. He's coming back off of injury. The playing time is 72% of snaps, 95, 92. Tennessee this week. I'm not dropping Witherspoon. We've seen the potential. I know the role is a little bit different than what we were used to. DeJean is awesome. I'm not dropping DeJean. If I have to pick two, I'm going to take DeJean over Witherspoon. I would hold Witherspoon if you can. I would not get too cute and drop him because we know the potential's there and he's a talented DB. So if you got somebody else to drop, I would recommend it because he's ramped back from injury and the playing time is getting back up to the 100% of snaps. So hopefully he gets back inside a little bit because I know it's been a little bit frustrating this year, but he's a talented DB. Palumau or Xavier Watts rest of season in a DB slot. I'm gonna go Watts. I really like Xavier Watts. Let's pull the usage on him real quick as well. I know um, Palomile. I'm old country boy down here in Kentucky, so sometimes sometimes the accents come off a little bit awkward. So I apologize to Isaiah. Yeah, the playing time for Isaiah has been really good. He's been playing 100% of snaps, and there's been a couple of 9, 7 tackle weeks. He only has 2 interceptions on the season, so if you don't get an interception, if you don't get that 9 tackle week, he can be a little bit disappointing. I just feel like I'm gonna rely on Xavier Watts more than Paloma. I don't know how to say that. You get New Orleans this week with Xavier Watts. He's coming off kind of a bummer of a week. Only got 2 tackles last week against Carolina, but had 11 the week prior with Indianapolis. Man, it's pretty close. I'm going to go Xavier Watts probably rest of season just because I like the usage a little bit better. But if for some reason you like the matchup better for Palomile, go for it. Roll with it. I don't care. Abdul Carter or James Pierce Jr. in a DL slot rest of the season. James Pierce Jr., that's pretty easy. Abdul Carter is a guy that I won in Dynasty, but I am not trusting him at all right now as far as the starting lineup is concerned. I'm not letting him touch my starting lineup. There's a lot of weirdness going on with him right now. Kind of benched for sleeping last week. That was all just kind of a weird little setup for Abdul Carter. So if all of a sudden he turns it around and the playing time looks great, we'll trust it then. But as far as right now is concerned, I'm not real optimistic that he's going to have a lot of value for the rest of 2025. Rougarou. Morning, Bobo. Shout out to the IDP show. I have been on the podium since I started watching y'all. Great content and even better humans. Yeah, man, we're here to make you some money. Here to have fun. I miss Addie, miss Josh. Wish they were in here with me today. I'm sure they're going to absolutely just agree with all of my takes and have no qualms with any of them. But Rugru, shout out you, man. We appreciate you. What have we learned so far this year? What have we learned? We have learned to log off sometimes, go outside, play golf, throw a couple frisbees, maybe hit a baseball or two, go for a walk. I love IDP, love fantasy football, but it's good to get away from these screens from time to time. Here I am. I've got an iPhone, an iPad, and a computer. There's a TV over here too. Get away from the screens. That's what we've learned. But we've also learned to not overvalue the linebacker position too much. We got to talking a little bit earlier. There was a question about faded linebacker, ended up with Devin White, Blake Cashman, and Nate Landman. And you've got 3 linebacker ones. Draft your defensive lineman early. Don't fade Myles Garrett ever in any situation in your lives. And listen to Addy when it comes to defensive backs. That's what we've learned. Shout out to you, Ruguru. I appreciate you being around. KY Bourbon Guy. Hey, all right. Is Alex Highsmith worth extending in my RSO league for $11 million per year? Start 11 offensive players and start 11 defensive players with 53-man rosters. Probably. As much as I want to say no because I'm a him big guy, Alex Highsmith is just a guy that under the radar is just really, really productive. I don't know what your defensive linemen are paid in there. Like, for instance, in the he's doubtful this week. So just put a pin in that. He's going to carry that doubtful tag. He is 28 years old, 11 million per year. Man, that's really on the line, isn't it? 15 would be a no. 8 million would be, yeah, you do that. 11 is pretty close. If you're waiver wire, if you look out and contractually you have nobody really getting paid for next year, if you have nobody that's going to be available, you've got no trying to think of guys right now in our league that might be being thrown back to the pot because nobody wants to extend them. If there's nobody available, then maybe I would extend Alex Highsmith. Hopefully it's like a 2-year deal because then you've got him for his 29 and his 30-year-old season at $11 million. That'd be perfect. A 4-year deal for $11 million per year is probably not a number that I'm going to press. He is signed there in Pittsburgh for a couple more years. I think that the him big, playing time super increase is going to be probably still another year or two removed from where we sit right now, just because we got a lot of guys that are just playing good in front of him. I mean, TJ Watt's paid And there's, hundreds, thousands of people in Pittsburgh wearing that dude's uniform on a given Sunday. So they're not going to sit him. I'm going to press that button. Yep, I'm going to press it. I made my mind up. Rugru, any updates on Trevin Wallace and Highsmith? So Highsmith is doubtful. I did just see that. Let me pull on Trevin Wallace real quick and see what the updates are on him. Still carrying that questionable tag. I think he logged another did not practice on Friday. So I'm not really relying on either of those guys. I really want to start him big. Yeah, this is going to be our week. This is our him big week, even though it might not be full-on him big dynasty season. As far as redraft is concerned, I really like him big for this week because we just got done talking about how much we love TJ Watt this week because they're playing Caleb Williams. I am going to be starting him big on basically all platforms. So great question, Ruguru. Highsmith isn't playing this week. Yep, that's a good little reminder. He just caught up to it. Well, Bang, how do you feel about Malachi Starks in Dynasty? He has shown flashes, but is he hurt by playing with K-Ham? He is hurt by playing with K-Ham. As much as I wanted to make Malachi Starks a thing this season, he's just kind of not playing a primo role as far as that box banger that K-Ham is. He's playing a little bit deep. Now, I do love Malachi Starks. You can look back the IDPshow.com. Basically, the only articles that you're going to see me write are going to be the rookie mocks. There's normally 1, 2, and 3 that I come out with. And I remember early on watching Malachi Starks tape in college, I believe at Alabama. That dude plays above the rim. I don't know if any of y'all are 80s or 90s kids. There was that basketball T-shirt that everybody wore, living life above the rim or something like that. That's how Malachi Starks plays the defensive back position. Great at big plays. Is going to have some good tackle weeks. But, yeah, he is hurt a little bit by playing with K-Ham. But I love Malachi Starks right now in Dynasty. I think he's a great grab right now, to be honest with you. The playing time has not been – the playing time has been great. The production has not been awesome just because of K-Ham, because of the way that it is. But Malachi Starks is a great grab right now if you can get him in Dynasty. So great question. Ruguru, I have Miles Max Parsons in my MFL league. Let's go. Come on. You can flex a little too hard in here, Ruguru. Don't flex too hard and give you a hernia. KY Bourbon, thank you. Him big to the moon. Yeah, absolutely. This is our week for those him big believers. This is our time to shine. Let him rip this week. Would you trade away Jared Verse for Will Anderson? Absolutely, I would. I love Jared Verse. There's no Rams. There's no Rams memorabilia in here. Sorry, it's just all disc golf. Should have put on my Todd Gurley jersey. Love Jared Verse. I think he is a nice little buy right now because he's been kind of unproductive so far this season. He's been okay. Don't hear me say the wrong thing. He has been pretty good. But we really just kind of want to see him take a step. There was that question earlier on in the chat about who is next year's Brian Burns. And I think that Jared Verse kind of fits that role. That guy who's just kind of tiptoeing, walking into that Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons category in Dynasty in terms of those edges. But Will Anderson is already there. So, yeah, I absolutely would. It almost would kind of be fun. I like busting heads when it comes to trades. It would almost kind of be fun to get a little something with it. Trade away Jared Verse for Will Anderson. Why would somebody do that straight up? Could you get somebody to throw in a little something with Will Anderson just to kind of flex on him a little bit? Yeah, that's an interesting one. Josh Raymer, I am always watching Bobo. That's kind of creepy. I'm going to make sure that the surveillance around the house is up to date, and we've got the bills paid. Speaking of rookie drafts, I'm hoping. Sorry, my Saints land Arvell Reese. Yeah, that's another name that we're going to be talking about a lot here over the next coming weeks. So I'm hoping that Arvell Reese will be hooping in 2026. There you go. I brought it back around. Let's get back to one of these earlier questions before we get back to the live ones. I think I've got one more that I wanted to talk about from Michael. Who would you rather have in Dynasty, Alex Wright or Austin Booker? Probably Austin Booker, just because Austin Booker was a name that, because of Daniel Jeremiah, I was onto early on. He basically talked about him in terms of like Trayvon Walker, that he was going to be a developmental guy. Didn't have a ton of sacks in college, went to Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't ever have any like crazy sack years. I honestly think that I remember pulling this stat last week that he maybe had like, did he have 8 sacks his last year at Kansas? That would be an unreal pull if your boy just spouted that off the top of his head. As much as I do like Alex Wright, I've liked what I've seen from Austin Booker here lately. Austin Booker had more playing time than Montez Sweat last week, I think. Yeah, Austin Booker is a guy that I'm definitely trying to add cheaply if I can in a lot of my leagues, and I'm going to ride in Dynasty if I can. Jordan Ball, if this is the real J Ball, why are you not over at my house right now, hanging out? So shout out J Ball. Any players you think might see more playing time now that teams are dropping out of contention that you have your eyes on? Yeah, Cody Simon is one that we've definitely talked about, is going to see more PT. Danny Stutzman is another name to kind of put a pin in. I don't think that the playing time has really cranked up for Danny as of late. Isn't that a great name? Just Danny Stutzman. What a good name to just have as a linebacker. Danny Stutzman, I believe, is the guy out of Oklahoma. Yeah, so this one's a great one. What a pull by me. Fresh off their bye, playing at Atlanta. The Saints are not going to see a postseason berth, I wouldn't believe. The playing time is kind of tiptoeing up a little bit. It got down a little bit in week 10. He only saw 11% of snaps, but got up to 29% of the snaps against the Rams in week 9. Had 8 tackles on 29% of the snaps. So Danny Stutzman is a guy that I'm going to try to add in some Dino leagues if I can. Cody Simon's another name. Nick Martin is another name that we're going to throw out there just in case. J Ball, you're a Rams fan. If this is the real J Ball, Sean Dolak is another name that I'm going to add right now if I can, because Omar Speights is Omar Speights. He's just kind of like the Troy Reader in that situation. He's the Christian Roseboom. He's just kind of a guy that's out there, and if he gets up to 8 tackles a week, great. The Rams maybe won. But for most weeks, Speights is a guy that we're just going to rely on for 4 tackles. But what I'm really getting at, though, is that if I'm not mistaken, I think Nate Landman only signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. So do the Rams retain him? Is it kind of a Zach Bond deal where all of a sudden you look up and it's like the Rams are happy, and, as a Rams fan, they've got that Todd Gurley stink about them to where I really didn't think they were going to pay Kyron. But they also have that Corey Littleton, just PTSD of like, dude played amazing, got paid, you didn't see anything else from him. So Sean Dolak is a name in deeper leagues that I'm definitely paying attention to. He's not going to see his playing time increase right now, but in the offseason, as people move, as we see free agency kind of tend to ramp up a little bit. Those are some names that I'm going to pay attention to. So fantastic question there, J Ball. How do we feel about Servassier, Dennis, and Dynasty going into next season? Not great. Let's look at the playing time as of recent and see where it's been for the boy. Servassier here. 100% of snaps over the last couple weeks. So the snaps have been good. 97% of the snaps in week 7, 12 tackles. He saw 1 sack. He also got a sack in week 8. But the last 2 weeks, 100% of snaps, only 1 tackle in week 10, and then 4 tackles in week 11. He did have an INT last week against Buffalo. I don't remember that one. They just mauled Buffalo too, if I'm not, or actually no, Buffalo won that game. I'm thinking of the Thursday night game with Buffalo losing here this week 12. Yeah, so I think the coverage grade for Servassier is going to keep him being a name that we're super hype for going into the next season. I'm not dropping a guy like Servassier, but I think that Servassier is falling for me in Dynasty just because I don't know. I think we've maybe seen the best of Servassier. I don't know that it gets any better for him. If you can trade him, I would. I would trade a guy like that and go try to get a young defensive end if I could. We've already talked about James Pierce. We've talked about Nick Scorton. We've talked about Jalen Walker, Josiah Stewart, another deep name to kind of pay attention to right now. Dallas Turner, another guy that we really like. I'm interested to see what like Jack Sawyer looks like in Pittsburgh over the next couple years. JT Tuimoloau, I think is a name. I think that's how I said his name correctly. For the Colts, I don't know why he's not getting playing time this year, but another edge to kind of pay attention to. But Servassiers they're the ones that I want to trade right now. If I can go get a younger edge, if I can go get a younger edge, a younger D tackle, somebody that's playing closer to the line of scrimmage, it's going to have a little bit more value right now. That's what I would trade a Servassier Dennis for. So to answer the question, I don't feel great about it. And I feel like there's a lot of other guys that I could trade him for right now. Summer is great. You just keep reminding me. Thanks. In my other league, would you drop Barrett Carter for Curtis Robinson or Cody Simon? Thinking of rest of season, I would definitely drop Barrett Carter for Cody Simon. Barrett Carter is just not great, and Cody Simon is all of a sudden seeing the playing time. So absolutely, yes, I would definitely do that. Now let's look up Curtis Robinson. I can't remember if you told me this is for rest of season. I don't know whether this is a dynasty or a redraft league. Curtis Robinson played 68% of the snaps last week, and I know the appeal is that on 68% of the snaps, he had 11 tackles. So that's awesome. Rest of season, I'm trusting Cody Simon. Let me see it one more week with Curtis Robinson. Let me see that all of a sudden I might need to see it 2 more weeks. You've got 2 bad matchups here in Carolina and in Cleveland. 2 bad teams. Can Curtis Robinson stack up? I want to see a little more playing time, to be honest with you. I'm not paying attention to as much of the sacks as I am. Can we get north of 70, 80% of snaps for Curtis Robinson? I would definitely do it for Cody Simon. Curtis Robinson maybe is getting a little bit cute. So put a pin in it. But for this week, let's trust Cody Simon. Well, bang. In Dynasty, how do you value Overshown going into next year? More of an LB2, 3, or could he have LB1 upside again? This is always kind of a bummer. It's a little bit like JOK. Man, JOK was awesome. JOK was an LB1 prior to that injury. I don't know that Overshown ever was. I don't know, honestly, that Overshown was ever like an LB2 before he got hurt. I know he definitely had some pop weeks, and I know he had some weeks that he probably played really well last year, but I don't know that, by and large for the entire season that he was going to project to be like an LB1. Let's look up and see 2024 season for Overshown prior to him getting hurt. Yeah, I mean, like the playing time was just kind of erratic, to be honest with you. 31%, 86, 100, 98, down to 71, 100, 98, 70. The fun thing with Overshown is the pass rush upside. So he had 5 sacks through 13 weeks prior to him getting hurt. Also had a forced fumble, had a fumble recovery, had an interception that he returned for a touchdown. So the dude is athletic. In big play leagues, I think Overshown is pretty awesome. The playing time last year never staying steady at 100% of snaps kind of worries me a little bit because I don't know that he ever really gets back to that. Could he have LB1 upside? Maybe some weeks, yes. I think at best right now for Overshown, LB2 is probably going to be the best case scenario going into 2026. So, yeah, Overshown's a name that it's on my radar. I'm paying attention to right now, but rest of season, I'm not trusting him. If you want to add him right now in Dynasty, go ahead. I'll let you have him. But the hype is definitely real because nobody's playing. Shamar James has definitely returned to earth from that first really awesome week. Landry or Young defensive end to start. I'm assuming that is Byron Young, and I'm assuming that is Harold Landry. So let's go back here to the matchups for this week and see who we've got. Let's see. The Patriots are playing the Bengals. Okay. So that's a pretty premier little setup. And let's see who the Rams have this week. That's horrible. This is embarrassing that I don't know. Baker Mayfield this week on Sunday night. Man, that is a really close call because you can definitely get to the Bengals the Bengals are pretty terrible right now. I mean, that situation as far as like who's starting for them and that offensive line, Jake Browning and everything has not been great. You can definitely get to Browning. Man, I probably say Landry, just because, I mean, you can get to Baker too. I'm going to say Landry. Even though I kind of want to say Byron Young. He's been a little bit quiet as of late. I know Harold Landry has not really done that much either, but I really do like that setup. I really do like the setup for who they're playing this week. Did I just call him Handry? Or maybe that's just what I typed in. That would be funny if I did. Harold Landry, let's look at him here lately. He's got a questionable tag going into this week and hasn't seen a sack since week 7. Now let's pull Byron Young real quick and see what we got going on. Byron Young definitely started out the season really hot and does not have a sack since the bye. I'm going to flip it. With Landry carrying that questionable tag, you're going to get two fun things here. You're going to get a sack out of Byron Young this week. It's going to be his first one since against Tampa Bay, and get to see it live because they're playing Sunday Night Football. So great question. Skew Young just because of the health. Curtis Robinson, Spillane, Landman, Campbell, Cody Barton, bench 2. I played Alshire on Thursday. Well, what'd you do that for? Bench 2. Man, these are getting nitty gritty here. All right, let's pull up Cody Barton real quick. I want to see the playing time on Cody. Playing 100% of the snaps. I'm probably starting old stinky Cody Barton. Curtis Samuel, Spillane. Let's pull up Spillane. I know I'm not sitting Landman. I know I'm not sitting Campbell. Let's look real quick because it's really coming down to Spillane and Cody Barton for me. Man, Spillane is playing 100% of the snaps too. I'm going to sit Curtis Robinson, and I'm going to sit Cody Barton. I'm going to start Landman. I'm assuming that's Jack Campbell. I'm going to start him, and then I'm going to start Spillane. Let's see it again for Curtis Robinson. We've already talked about that, and then I'm going to skew Spillane over Cody Barton just because I like the setup here. I like Cincinnati this week for Robert Spillane. So great question. I love that one. Paul Morning, struggling to decide who to play for my IDP flex spot. Who would you pick among Leonard Williams, Peyton Wilson, Cody Barton, Chairless, or Nick Herbig? Wow. It just depends. Are we big play? Are we big 3 scoring? I'm going Herbig. I think it's Herbig's season. I think with no Highsmith this week, you're going to see all of a sudden this 80% snap share out of Herbig. Whenever Herbig gets the playing time, whenever the matchup is great, he is productive. I like Leonard Williams. I think Peyton Wilson, if you just need points, could be a great start. Not Cody Barton, not Chairless. Leonard Williams has played great as of recently, but I don't think he has quite the ceiling that Herbig has. If you need points, maybe Peyton Wilson. If it's big play and you're behind and you need a big swing, go Herbig, because I think this is our time. This is our Herbig time. GB 2010, Derek Brown, defensive tackle. Do you have any updates on his health? He had a season low 67% defensive snaps last week. Should I trust him or should I choose Graham instead? Derek Brown is not a guy that I really trust right now. I will pull the snaps here for you real quick just so that I can look and see. Yeah, on 70% of snaps last week, he had 0 tackles and he had 0 sacks. I know he was coming off that knee injury for last week, so you kind of want to put a pin in that, but I don't know that I'm trusting Graham. But I'm also not trusting Derek Brown. Surely you've got a little better situation somewhere than maybe either of those guys, to be honest with you. Let me see real quick. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about Mason Graham. Yeah, I mean Mason Graham has a half of a sack so far on the season. Surely there's a better option than either of those guys. And this probably will be our last question. We're at the end of the lives. We got quite a few of y'all in here. We're a little less than an hour into it, so we're going to wrap it up with this one. So Sweat, Burns, Phillips, Christian Ellis, Omar Spates, Pierce Jr., pick 3. All right, you put Sweat. We don't know who. We're going Burns. We're going Sweat. Either of the Sweaty Bros, Montez or Josh Sweat. I'm fine with either of those. And let's go Phillips. Let's have a fun week. All right. Thank you all for jumping in the stream. Thank you all for the questions. Thanks for the trades. Thanks for the start sits. Thanks for the dynasty. Thanks for the rest of season. Make sure to go to the idpshow.com. We have everything. We've got trade calculator. We've got dynasty rankings. We've got start sit tools. We've got waiver ads. We've got rest of season. We've got articles. We've got all kinds of stuff. We've got podcasts. The IDP show, the best in the game. You all know it. Thanks for jumping in the stream. Best of luck to you all this week. Best of luck to Nick Herbig. We're so thankful for this 30 burger that old Herbig is about to throw for us. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you guys. Always thankful for the crew that we've got here that follows us at the IDP show. From Addie, from Joshy, from myself, from the rest of the crew. Good luck to you this week and blessing.